Hi again, everyone, and welcome into CBT. I'm James Rapien, alongside the man, Tony Pike from ESPN 1530. Man.
This feels like a reunion. We used to do these types of videos every day down here.
We did.
In the infancy stages of both of our careers.
Yep, that's
now
right.
Here we are.
We sat together, and now you're hosting a show noon to 3 every single weekday, Cincy 360 on ESPN 1530. Talking Bengals here. This channel, people don't know. This channel saw a lot of us.
Man.
Before
Early
people
stages.
saw it, yes.
Early stages.
Early
And
stages.
I feel like it's like the Field of Dreams game because we're on the gravel. Right here at the practice
We're on the
fields,
gravel.
We're on the gravel. You can't see that, but we're on gravel. It's just, there's a lot of excitement in this video.
Yeah, there is, and part of why we're on gravel is because the sun.
Yeah.
And I've learned about light.
Yeah, this is
And instead of going this way and having shadows on our face, we're looking into the sun, which is why I'm wearing this nifty CBT hat.
I was told you're not supposed to wear hats in interviews.
It's a sign of disrespect.
Shadow on your face.
Yep, sign of disrespect. Cincinnati legend here, Tony Pike. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with Joe Burrow. You saw him for 2 days. He didn't participate today. It was a planned rest day. Did work on his punting. But being a former quarterback, a former really high-level Division I quarterback, and that's where your tenure might have ended. But
6 of 12, couple drops in the NFL, but yeah. Couple drops.
6 of 12 with a couple drops. All right, there we go, 50%. It's like your free throw percentage. What did you make of Joe Burrow during the first couple of days of camp?
Man, not even getting into the football on-field stuff yet. I thought it's been fascinating watching him off the field, working with the wide receivers when it's not live action reps. You can tell there's an emphasis on him, more of a leader. Joe Mixon's gone, Cheeto's gone, Tyler Boyd's gone. He knows that the next step of his evolution is for a leader of this team. They need a wide receiver number 3. You bring in a new tight end in Mike Gesicki. I think he's been great so far as a leader, bringing these young guys along. Before he even gets on the field, everything's been made of bigger, faster, stronger Joe Burrow. Until you see him live in person, you don't really realize how that translates. His burst is different. His size, his physicality, in my opinion, is completely different in a good way. And then the on-the-field stuff. I mean, let's not think weeks, months ago, there was questions on, can he go in camp? Will he be ready to start at camp? Will his wrist ever be the same? He's extinguished all of those worries in 2 days. He's made every throw. He surprised T. Higgins on day 1 by pushing the ball too far down the field. He's made small window throws. He's made the short, intermediate reads. I think he's checked every single box, and he even highlighted there's more to grow. He talked about his spiral and the understanding of you got to get it back, the grip, the feel, the wrist. That's all going to continue to progress, but with the velocity not being all the way there yet, I think of it as like a pitcher in baseball. You know, Greg Maddux never threw 95, but he was so accurate and his timing was so elite. Joe gets to work on that now. Until the rest of the strength comes back, he gets to work on timing, ball accuracy, all those things that is just going to help him as the season goes on.
Yeah, I think about it, and I just mentioned he rested today.
Yeah.
I love that he's played at such a high level already. Didn't throw an incompletion on Thursday during the team drills. Hasn't had a turnover, which I think does matter. We've seen plenty of times other quarterbacks, even Joe, have turnovers early in camp just because you're not on the same page or anything like that. He seems really dialed in, ready, and I'm not worried that he took a rest day today.
And we often talk about, man, this time in camp, the defense is always ahead of the offense. That seems like it's a thing every year. Yeah. This year, you mentioned yesterday or Thursday, no T. Higgins, no Jamar Chase. I know that Cam Taylor-Britt's not out there, but that's 3, 4, 5-string wide receivers and a new tight end. And what are we talking about? Not missing a throw. So the fact that he's playing at this level, and I know there's a wide receiver 3 competition and a rookie wide receiver class that's in here, he's doing that against predominantly the number 1 defense without Cam Taylor-Britt. I think that speaks volumes in itself. And yes, when you get the pads on and things start flying, I know things change. But the first couple days, like I said, he's checked every single box that you want.
You mentioned the wide receiver 3 battle a couple of times. I think it's a wild battle right now. Who do you think is in the lead? And is it Andrei Iosivas or not? And what have you seen from him? Because I would say he probably has the lead if I'm wagering today.
I think the way they've used Jermaine Burton the last couple of days shows you kind of where he slots. They've used him more of the Jamar Chase role. He lined up in the backfield. He's been running in motion a lot, whereas Iosivas has kind of been the slot guy. That was Tyler Boyd's role. I think it's interesting to give Iosivas as many reps as possible because it's such a unique role as opposed to splitting out. Now you're in charge of what? Your route, but also protection. When you're the slot guy, you need to know, okay, if two backers come, I got to adjust my route. How many times in football do we see a blitz, the quarterback adjusts, he throws hot, and the receiver doesn't see it? That's as big of an adjustment, in my opinion, for him in the slot as the routes. He knows the routes. He's worked on them all offseason. It's the understanding of what the defense is doing, what your protection is, and how you need to alter and adjust your routes, and knowing a lot of Tyler Boyd's catches, 3rd and short, 4th and short. You're the slot guy. You're the guy because of the matchup. It's not always a corner. It's a nickel sometimes. It's a linebacker. It's a safety. How do you win against different coverage? I think that's all a learning process, but I think he's knocked it out of the park so far.
One more weapon to get to, and then we'll get to the defense a little bit, maybe some trenches. Mike Gesicki. What do you think he's going to mean to this team? Early observations 3 days into camp.
Some of the catches he makes is ridiculous for a guy his size. You remember there were years of camp where we were like, man, Auden Tate is so big, he should move to tight end. Yeah. Auden Tate today is bigger than Mike Gesicki, physically. You look at Gesicki, he's like, that can't be a tight end in the NFL. And I know he's not known for his blocking. He's making back shoulder catches. He's making one-handed catches. And to be on that plane again with Joe Burrow so early in camp, he's going to be a matchup nightmare. I mean, take your pick if you're a defense. You know what Jamar Chase demands. You know what T. Higgins demands. They've got backs out of the backfield that can both make plays in space. We just talked about the receivers. A lot of one-on-one battles for Mike Gesicki. I love his chances to win those battles.
What stands out about the defense, the trench play, any other notes that you want to hit on after 3 days that stand out?
Defensively, it's hard in the trenches until the pads come on. Then you get to see one-on-ones and you get to see how guys can win. Other than that, did he have a sack? Did he make a tackle? You don't really know. I think the linebacker room is interesting because we haven't spent a lot of time in the offseason talking about it. There's not a ton of depth there. Logan Wilson is great. Jermaine Pratt is great, and Akeem Davis-Gaither, I think, is underrated in a lot of ways. They don't have much depth outside of that. So can that room hold up? The obvious battle at camp is the cornerback position. Is it DJ Turner? Is it Dax Hill? Cam Taylor-Britt hasn't been playing, so I think that's a boost to get those guys even more reps. And I do think when you think Jordan Battle, Von Bell, Geno Stone's a great addition. Who slots in at that other safety role? Von Bell gives you experience. He's Lou Anarumo's mouthpiece on the field. That's why he came back. But at the same time, Jordan Battle, up-and-comer, got a ton of upside. I'm interested to see how the depth plays out on the defensive side of the ball.
He's Tony Pike. Catch him every single weekday on ESPN 1530, Cincy 360, noon to 3. I think the camera moved mid-us.
It just wanted me in
there
the
we go. There we go.
There we go.
It clearly did. Other things, Jamar Chase didn't participate again today. Trey Hendrickson, another off day. Sam Hubbard off today as well. Joe Burrow, as we mentioned, off today.
What was Jamar Chase's only knock when he was a rookie? Drops. We talked a lot about Joe Burrow's release and timing and the spiral and what's going on. It would have to be vital at some point for Jamar to get catches with Joe if the ball's not as tight on the spiral, if there's not as much zip, if the placement's different. I don't think we've talked about that a lot. We've talked a lot about Jamar Chase, but I think that's a vital part of his progression. That's the only knock he's ever had, the couple drops. Is that any different going through a camp and not getting as many reps with Joe Burrow? I think leads to a ton more of interesting dynamic next week and on.
That's what we'll be watching when they regroup for practice on Sunday. Will Jamar be out there? Will he practice out here? Will he practice? When will he practice? We will have you covered on that and so much more. He's Tony Pike. I'm James Rapien. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell. For more, check out BengalsTalk.com. And until next time, for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.